Let's now turn our attention to the Independent National Electoral Commission. It's just 4 days to the deadline by the Commission for the collection of permanent voter cards. And the Lagos Commissioner for Home Affairs, Abdul Hakim Abdul Latif, is urging residents to collect their PVCs. Let's now bring in Julius Osimen, a public affairs analyst, to help us talk about this. Thank you very much indeed for coming, Julius.
Thank you.
All right. Well, in 2015, Mahmoud Yakubu reminded us that about 7 million PVCs were not collected. And sometime in April or thereabout, when he spoke, he said about 7 to 8 million PVCs were yet to be collected as well. And we're just 4 days away from the deadline, and the elections are almost here. Have you seen anything radical, anything proactive on the part of INEC to help people, push people to ensure that this gap is filled?
Thank you, Ikechukwu. I think I personally took a trip around to check what's going on around the centers, local government. I did about 4 or 5 of them recently, and I think that to some great extent, the INEC has done their job to provide facilities and centers for people to register. You know, on the other hand, I think that Nigerians are reluctant, you know, especially Lagosians. When I got to, you know, people just sit back in their houses and hear news, side talks of how the whole process is difficult, the queue is long and all of that. People hear all of those conversations in their houses. They never went out to really make an attempt, you know. I was sitting back for a while listening to all the news around until I went out myself to see what's going on. Of a truth, when you go to some of the centers, the equipment and all of that are available are just maybe 1 or 2 to cater for about 100, 400 people. But I realized that if you are patient, in an hour or 2, you will get registered. And then you get a temporary voter's card done in about an hour or 2. You just have to be patient and then dedicate a day, you know, to go and get that done. On the part of the INEC, I think they've tried. They've done what they ought to do. They've extended the time up till now, but it's just a cultural thing for Nigerians to wait until it's rush hour. And then I'm sure that this last 4 days, there'll be a lot of
so much rush.
Yeah, so much rush across the centers.
Now, what's your assessment of the data we saw about 3 weeks ago, giving us a visual understanding of the regions that have gone to pick up their PVCs? And we have a problem with the southern part of Nigeria.
The problem here is too much exposure. I think that especially Lagosians, if you check the statistics of people that vote most of the time, is usually on the low side in the south, especially Lagos. So you check the statistics, I saw that particular data, and large percentage of people are here to collect the PVCs here in Lagos. You know, the northerners, they are all collecting, and then the numbers, and you're wondering, why are the people collecting? Really, people are collecting. But here in this part, we have a lot of reasons why we should not collect. Oh, what the candidates are bringing. Oh, can you just leave the candidate and get your PVCs first? The PVCs are ready. I'm sure that the ones that have not been collected are ready. You know, go to your local government offices. They're just around you. I'm sure that everybody lives around. Your local government office is around where you live. Just take a time out. Even if you walk outside where you live, take a time out during lunch hour or one of the days you are around. I read on the INEC stuff that they've also allowed Saturdays and Sundays, but anyway, that's past now because by Friday no more extension and all. But the PVCs can still be collected at the local government center. I went there myself in my own local government. The PVCs are there, lying there for people to come and collect.
Well, maybe Julius, maybe this is just by the wayside. Anyway, maybe the time has arrived when INEC will begin to go from door to door and say, "Look, this is your PVC. Take your thing." Maybe the time. Maybe we're getting to that point.
INEC will not even do that. It's not their responsibility to do that. I think that people need to, like the clergyman said earlier, that people need to understand that voting is their duty. It's our duty. We can't keep complaining, and then we can't keep talking about what is right, what is not right, as it were. We need to, you know, I said this jokingly to myself on my way here that even though you are going to sell your vote, you don't have the right to sell your vote. You don't have the power to sell your vote or even cast your vote until you have your PVC. So no matter what you want to do with your vote, come 2019, the power to do that is to go get your PVC. So when the candidates come, you know who to vote for.
So you think because of the PVC, people should really trust the system? And I mean, a lot of Nigerians are saying, what's the use of even getting a PVC? Because it's still going to be the same cycle of old leaders, you know, the people we've had over the years, and nothing is really changing.
That's true. I agree that that's also a contributing factor why most people are reluctant in getting a PVC. I spoke to a family, you know, I've been doing the campaign personally, and I mentioned that the last time I was here. You know, we did a road walk from Akoka down to Ojuelegba, a road walk, campaigning for people to go get a PVC. The reason why we do that is people need to be pushed and encouraged to do something different. If we're hoping to have a different government, we're hoping to have a different leader across board, from the local government to the House of Assembly, the senators, to the presidency, then if we're hoping to get something different, then we need to do something different ourselves. We need to get our PVCs and be ready to vote as a different person.
It's crunch time now.
Julius Osimen, and no doubt Nigerians, you know, want to see when those they refer to as political gerontocrats or the older generation of politicians would be, you know, consigned to the Museum of Political History. Well, Julius Osimen, thank you very much indeed for coming to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you.